You ready? Okay.
Joey.
Joey and Joan. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
So Cheryl will be here, Bill. She
Might
is
be a little late.
working
Okay.
she works in Burlington, so
Okay.
she said that it'll be probably at least 6 o'clock before she
Okay.
comes here, so.
So we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Vergennes City Council on January 24th. It's 5:30. We will table Cheryl until she arrives. And we will,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 10th.
okay, so Lowell has made a motion. Is there a second? Rennie seconds a motion for the January 10 minutes. And do we have any corrections, omissions, additions? I must admit that I scanned them really quick, so I'm not very good today about them. Jeff?
One point of clarification on page 2, under municipal development plan, the fourth line up, Senior Alderman Perry also presented their downtown capital improvements plan, and that should probably say the Vergennes Partnerships Downtown Capital Improvements Plan.
Oh, just to clarify that.
Yes,
There means Vergennes.
partnership.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well, we're in the same area. Just a few changes. Same line, and it goes, which does not require the formal, instead of using the word endorsement, I think I use the word approval of the city council.
Okay.
And if you would, and as we continue on, it only, if you would strike the word only, just it needs to be,
It needs
Yeah.
to be, okay.
that's it.
Anybody else have any comments? Okay. All in favor of the minutes as revised, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved as revised. And we have no citizen comments.
The warrants, I will tell you, there was, when I say a handful, it's probably 5, additional invoices that came in since I sent out the warrant. One of really special note deals with the legal bill related to the DRB decision, the Mahawi appeal, and that the invoice from Wilmette and Runcie for their work was over $6,000, all right? So I think I mentioned to you at the last meeting that the legal fees that the city will incur and what Mahawi incurs will have easily paid for that fence that the DRB, that actually Mahawi offered as an option for them, and, you know, to fence option A versus fence option B, and the board, DRB, made a condition of option B, and that was appealed. And I just want to let you know, I think that we're done because on our end, because we are on the record, so the transcript went up. Lots of letters that go back and forth. They filed their appellant brief. The city attorney filed his response to that brief. Mahawi gets to file a rebuttal, if you will, to the city attorney's brief, and that's it. There's no rebuttal of the rebuttal of the rebuttal of the rebuttal. We're done, okay? So I think, I'm using the word think because I don't want to say that you're done with this, but I think that there is no court presentation. I don't think so. I think that we're done, and Judge Durkin, we assume, will do that. So if you're wondering why the line item for legal fees is over budget, now you know.
Did we ever get any further dialogue with Mahawi regarding why they had put the 2 options in, but were choosing to not want to pursue either of them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well,
So, and I don't think there was any other, I felt that that was a fairly significant one, so I wanted to bring that up. But obviously, we had a meeting not that long ago, so there's not a mountain of warrants there.
I had a question on the Encore solar reconciliation.
Oh,
but it's-
sure.
But it's under your report,
Oh,
so
okay.
we'll wait till
Sure.
then.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that's fine. Under business, 5A, Pedestrian Safety Task Force. I knew you guys have a meeting like next week.
Yep, that'll be
So-
on the 1st.
Okay, so we'll let that happen and.
Yep,
you guys
Alderman Koenig did roll out his
His
pedestrian
general
safety
flag.
flags.
5
Yeah,
crosswalks.
yeah.
Then I see flags moving, so
Yeah.
they were frozen solid at the last minute. We went walking into it, it's like, oh, I'll get a flag. Shattering ice everywhere. But, you know.
It was cute, the gentleman that has the laundromat had his little girl, which is really high, and she's got it in her hand, going across the street, you know, it was really cute.
I haven't heard back comments, and so we'll see how it goes. And if
Did
this,
you make up that design?
yeah,
Works
I was
great.
just curious.
and I've got enough material for like another 150 flags.
Oh, good.
So we just need sticks and PVC piping and spray
Sounds like an
paint.
online business.
Maybe we got to go
Are
on
you a
Etsy.
municipality that needs? Well, each little bucket and 3 flags is about $2.
Nice.
So,
That offsets the legal fees, so that's good.
And the nice thing about the flags that's different than the ones in Middlebury is that they're reflective. So if you use them at night, when the light hits them,
You can actually
you can
see
see them.
just make sure you have them low enough for the headlights to hit them. If you're up here waving it, no reflection's happening, because
Well, thank you, Mark, for
That was great.
making that effort.
Love the color.
So Cheryl won't be here probably for a little while longer, so we'll move on to 5B, the Downtown Basin Master Plan. You know, the report was done a couple months ago. We had some copies here. I told you all it was online and to pick it up and take a peek at it at some point. This is a kind of a memo I put together actually a couple months ago. When we finished the plan, I sent an email out to all of the members of the committee and asked them to look at the recommendations and to prioritize them based on what their, you know, how the process went, what the public input was, and so on. And these were the priorities. And it was amazing that almost everybody kind of agreed on the same priorities. So I wanted you just to see this, and so that we can maybe have start a discussion, you know, tonight and ongoing, so that we can try and get together a plan of things we can accomplish within our budget and some things we might want to look at grant applications for and so on. So the prioritization was primarily on financial feasibility and fund availability, and that would be within the budget or matching funds or potential water tower use, recreational economic impact, and a sustainable maintenance schedule. In other words, if we're going to do something, we want to make sure that we're capable of maintaining it, you know, within the confines of Public Works Department and in our budgets. The group independently of each other agreed on the majority of the items that should be undertaken by the city of Vergennes as time and money permit. The priority projects included create and market an identity and/or brand for Vergennes. And I briefly talked to Amy Barr about that today. I mean, that's something that the partnership has already got on their radar.
Right.
And I think that it's something that you guys might be able to spearhead, but I think that the municipality needs to have input, and the nonprofits and the school system and so on all should have some input on this, so that we can put together, you know, a brand that we can, you know, go forward with. And so I think that's something that'll be ongoing for a little while. Landscaping, this is primarily down at the Otter Creek Basin and Falls Park area. Create landscaping that's consistent and that is very low maintenance. As you know, for the last couple of years, you know, Mike and Matt and the Rossiers and myself and Rennie and a lot of people have been down there cutting and trying to open it up, and it's almost done, but I think we need to have a plan as to how we're going to landscape it and how we're going to try and maintain that. So one of the projects in the master plan was the wayfinding and signage plan to connect the Otter Creek River Basin to downtown. There are examples in the plan that show that. There's some signage up now that should be taken down that is old and probably should be replaced. And I think, again, this is something that we probably can maybe have an agenda item and just specifically look at that and try and talk about what we think we ought to do.
This is another thing on the radar of the Vergennes Partnership, is dealing with those signs and possible funding sources. The set of signs that we have now, the brown and white,
Yep.
those were all purchased by a grant, so the city didn't buy any of those. They are getting kind of old now, but
Yeah.
we can try and find some funding for that.
Well, one thing, Rennie, as you know, not that this money is burning a hole in our pockets, but we still have the Green Mountain Power Cooperative account. There still is...
5 or 10,000?
Well, the accounting, I'm not bore you with all the accounting here, but there's certainly $10,000 or $11,000 that's clearly available. The interest that we earned on that account over the, however, 15 years. It was before your time, Randy? Your time? Okay, so we're near on to 15 years. And that was back where, you used to get 6% for CD. So we made $20-some-odd thousand in interest. So if you look at at that asset account, it says $39,000. There still is a $5,000 issue, Joan, that I just don't agree with. So let's just say that there could be, with Green Mountain Power's permission,
50.
upwards to upwards. These are part of it. It's around $34,000. So like I say, it's not as though it's burning a hole in my pocket, but that cooperative fund, as you know, was to be used for basin improvements. And so if we have some kind of a plan for signage, if there aren't grants out there, or if they need a local share, I know sometimes we're real quick about looking at the water tower fund. Well, in this instance, we actually have another fund that could be used for that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that fund. Good. And then the last one was recreational improvements. I think a lot of it was down at at Falls Park. The trail probably could be upgraded. There's signage issues down there. The entrances to the parks aren't terribly clear. The signs are old. I think a lot of that is really something that, it's just time to look at redoing that and making it clear and making it more cohesive. And then some of the other projects that got votes were develop a play area at Falls Park. We looked at the Toddlers Park a couple of years ago. I'm not sure we would do like that entire project down there, but there might be an ability to put something down there that would be a great place for people to bring kids. The Main Street and McDonough Drive intersection improvements, we all know how difficult that's going to be, but it was an issue that was voted on. And then the pedestrian traffic signals is something that we have a task force working on. So I think that what we might want to think about is really, Falls Park and, landscaping, recreational improvements, and maybe talking to Green Mountain Power about this and maybe looking at other funding opportunities. But it'd be great to be able to have something planned by the time, the spring rolls around.
I'll just mention during the play area at Falls Park, the Rotary is looking at the possibility of putting in a Harmony Park where there's instruments that are actually...
I heard about that.
And right now I'm just talking to the neighbors to make sure that neighbors wouldn't find, and it's not loud, they're low tones. But there are things that kids literally can walk on, pound on. It's got a xylophone on it. There's a lot of things that it has. It's really cool. I think it's going to be like a $20,000 project to get all the pieces. But we saw one in New Hampshire, and it was, every kid in the world was like playing on it. Cool. It was really cool. And it was different than swings and, and something adults did too. So we're looking into that and just trying to make sure the neighbors wouldn't have any objections.
And where would this go?
Somewhere on the Falls Park. We thought maybe into the trail a little bit, so you have to walk in a little bit.
So we don't have many neighbors to worry about, really.
Right, but it's the
Except
ones
Matt.
well, yeah, I talked to Matt already, but
And then all the boat people there.
well, I don't care about those.
They'll probably use it.
So before we make a plan, we need to keep in touch with the Rotary Club and see
Right,
where you guys are.
yeah.
Okay, good. That's
Just so you
great.
know.
Lynn,
Mike.
I don't know if you want to mention anything about Green Mountain Power and what Scott mentioned?
Yes, Rotary's also taking on the project of the Green Mountain. When you come down the lane, the Green Mountain Power owns a large piece of land that's kind of junky and full of logs and stuff.
Past where their barn is and
Yes,
so on.
exactly. So Rotary's taking that on too. So Green Mountain Power is actually going to take all the big things away, so, that's gone. And then Rotary's going to maintain that park. So we're going to mow it, keep it, probably do landscaping.
It does flood there, though,
Yeah, I don't care.
Great.
That's the problem, is stuff comes up there, and then it's just that we're all older and can't lift it all. So they're going to remove all the debris, and then we're going to maintain the park.
Great. Anybody else have any questions or comments, or I'll copy some pieces and parts out of the plan, we'll put it on the agenda going forward.
At one time, actually, the Green Mountain Power used to provide a big roll-off there to put the material into and take it away, and they did that for a number of years, and then they stopped doing it, and I'm not sure why, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure we want the look of that anyway.
No, I mean, they just brought it in at a particular time.
Oh, I see.
There was a cleanup with the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, I think, together.
Yeah, we did it.
To clean up down there, and so Green Mountain Power would provide the roll-off to take the stuff away, to get it out of there. But,
Probably that's what they're talking about when they say we'll take it that way.
yeah.
Could be. Mike?
Two things. One, they did that in Middlebury already.
What's that?
And, they did that down in Middlebury, the roll-offs,
Mhm.
and they almost got fined because they were disposing of stuff that could be recycled versus put in landfill. But, yeah, that's
Maybe
kind
that's
of
why.
what it's all about, is beautifying that area and making it more attractive and welcome. But there's some local Vergennes citizens that go down in there in the spring of the year and get their year's supply of firewood.
I know, yeah. Chuck Ringer. Okay, anybody else want to talk about that? If we're done, Cheryl, you're up.
Yeah, you segued into that nicely.
I know. So tell us about how we can't recycle all this stuff, Cheryl.
Exactly.
So now we have Cheryl Brinkman, the Vergennes rep of the Board of Supervisors of Addison County Solid Waste Management District, who wants to give us an update.
Yeah, so I'm your representative on the board, and periodically we should have a get together, so I thought this would be a good opportunity. We have all of the deadlines of Act 148 in front of you, so I don't need to give you any background unless you have any questions about it, but there are deadlines that have rolled out. I did do a couple of sticky notes so I don't forget. So the last deadline from Act 148 is the tough one, which is organics. A third of our trash that goes into the landfill is actually just food scraps, and so that's the last piece that is the most difficult unfunded mandate that we're facing. The regs went into place hoping that we would all figure it out. So trying to get the infrastructure in place, how do the trash haulers actually accommodate that stuff. Our district staff is incredible, and so they're helping with lots of advice. They're pulling resources together. They've actually got a grant and have 32-gallon totes available for drop-offs for collecting organics. Free for us. The tricky part with the district is not equipping any particular trash haulers with equipment, but being able to help the municipalities. The haulers have to offer curbside organic pickup, and the municipal drop-offs have to offer that service this summer, July 1st. So that's the next deadline, and that's what we're kind of gearing up and trying to get ready for. The drop-offs recently have kind of come under gun because we've traditionally relied on the particular trash haulers that are there to, keep everyone compliant. But with these new regulations coming out, with the municipalities actually being responsible but relying on the haulers to take care of everything, some people are getting a little uneasy about that, and there are some trash haulers that find this last compliancy just too difficult. And so some municipal drop-offs have actually gotten in a difficult position because the trash hauler said, yeah, I'm out of here. So Lincoln was one of those drop-offs that suddenly didn't know what to do because Casella pulled out of Lincoln, didn't like going up dirt roads, and they weren't making enough money. So they just said, yeah, we're out of here. And it left Lincoln in a really difficult position. So we have been talking about how to help the drop-offs from that kind of situation at the district. And we just recently formed a municipal drop-off advisory committee. For two reasons. One is to make sure that this new deadline that's coming up can be met by everybody, and make sure that there aren't any one drop-off that can't meet that regulation. And the bigger picture for the advisory committee is to take a look at how, as a county, as a district, we are handling our trash and recycling now that there's also leaf and yard waste and organics. And Bill Finger has some big picture ideas, and we thought we'd pull something together. So we just started this committee, but just to give you a feel, this is our first attempt at a spreadsheet to figure out how does our district do this.
And if you know who Bill Finger is, he was the city manager in Middlebury,
Yeah.
and he's the chairman of the Board of Selectmen in Lincoln. So
That's right,
he has
yeah.
a vested interest in
He
this.
is, and turns out he's like all of a sudden is my stalwart like ally, which is very cool. So there's like 2 pages of this, and what has come of this, even though we're still filling in a lot of this information, but the service providers are kind of all over the map. Every town is its own island and has developed its own way of doing things. And that's a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing because Lincoln doesn't know how Moncton does it. We don't know how Middlebury does it. And there's this lack of information that we as a district could really benefit from. And one of the reasons why we're looking at it now is that Chittenden Solid Waste District, if you know, they have district-run drop-offs. So their approach to Chittenden County is completely different. Would that work for us? It might, or a hybrid might work. Maybe some towns would like to have that conversation of perhaps having the district run their drop-off. So there's pluses and minuses to all of these. There's some towns that are just totally fine with the way they're doing it. No, thank you. They want to just keep doing it, and as long as it works for them, that's fine. And then there are some municipalities that are having more and more difficulty meeting these needs given how they have been doing business. Moncton is one place that they have always relied on. What is the group? It's not Boy Scouts, but they've always relied on a particular volunteer group. Now all of these kids have graduated. This troop is like going away. I forget what it is, but they literally have nobody at the end of this school to do it the same way they've always done it. So I think what they've come down to is having a roll-off with a hauler take it. So there's all kinds of manifestations. You can have one trash hauler doing everything for you, taking trash, accepting money for trash, and that pays for the recycling. That's the basic simple model. Some towns provide the infrastructure, the roll-offs, and rely on people doing it themselves, and then pay for someone like Casella to just haul it away at the end of the day. So there's that kind of a situation. Ours is a really unique situation that has developed just in its own little bubble. How our drop-off functions is that we actually pay for recycling. We don't pay for trash. Pretend there's no one sitting there doing trash. We pay for the service of recycling too. If you're not collecting trash, then you can charge for recycling. If you're collecting trash, then you don't charge for recycling. That's how the law works. So we have this service for recycling that serves five different towns. So if you look at the money without looking at per capita, because we haven't done that yet, but ours is the most expensive box on the spreadsheet so far. And it works, but there's also Casella is here to, they are here to take care of Casella.
like you.
Well, Cheryl and I have had this conversation, and I don't know, obviously,
the
Rennie was,
same
Rennie
spreadsheet, yeah.
Rennie was city manager for 5 years, and Randy Friday was here before them, all right? And so I inherited, I knew how it ran when I left here in 1998, and I can tell you that we had the cheapest system here. And I'm not throwing Rennie under the bus here because I don't think.
Sounds like you are.
Well, not yet, because I don't think that Rennie was here and made the change that he did, because I think that before Rennie was here, the city thought that they could buy balers and do this type of thing. I wasn't working here, and if somebody asked me, I would have told them, you're crazy, because you can't run a mini Murph. All right,
Right,
and
right.
Murphs are expensive.
Yeah.
A mini
I don't
is
think you'd be allowed to do
unbelievable.
that today.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
anyway, the system that we have, when Cheryl says it's the most expensive, okay, well, the fact of the matter is per what, all right?
At first
Because-
blush it is.
Right, well,
but-
so if you're just
Yeah.
taking about money, yes, the city of Vergennes is spending $75,000 on recycling, but what her spreadsheet doesn't capture is the $37,500 that's coming in from the other 4 towns, okay,
Right,
number one.
right.
Number two, per capita would be an interesting denominator,
Right.
but a better denominator, it's a good denominator, but a better denominator really is the amount of tons that you're diverting, all right? Because it's very possible that the $75,000 that the 5 towns are collecting, the dollars per ton, could end up being the cheapest thing. So it's really about how you analyze the numbers, but I will tell you that when I left here in 1998, before then, we got a grant to be able to buy 2 20-yard roll-offs. I think they're 20s. We had them inside of the recycling building. We got a grant to put the compactor that is still today, this day being used, but it's only used by the Public Works garage. And so we had 2 roll-offs for containers and a compactor for your fiber materials. And I had a contract, I had Kelly Martell, I had an employee that ran the center on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I had a contract with Casellas to haul them to the Chittenden County MRF, and the city paid the tipping fee at the MRF, okay? And so you can see, the city paid the employee, city paid for the hauling, city received the check for the materials. That system, I felt, was a good system, and I left work here in 1998. I've often wondered, could I put that system back in place today? What would the numbers look like today? Now, I can tell you, they'll look differently, because I can tell you, back in 1998, materials were worth a lot of money, all right? And then today, they actually have negative value, all right? So,
Yeah, a lot of them do,
so
yeah.
you not only do you end up having to pay somebody to haul the materials to a MRF, your tipping fee is a charge, not a check, all right?
Right.
So the numbers are tremendously different.
Yep.
And I think it's great that the district is looking at this. We talk about it every year at budget time and think, well, this is a real service to our citizens, and to the thought of taking trash out of the picture, I mean, my phone will go right off the hook, big time, so.
Right, but it might, at some point, we want to look at how it's
Yeah.
being done.
Yeah.
Because there's a number of ways of changing things up, and when we talked to Terry, the district manager, she also suggested that we could go out to bid. We could say, here's our piece of property, here's how much tonnage we get, give us an offer. And it could turn into more of a, I don't want to say moneymaker, but you could get more oomph for the amount that we pay, perhaps.
What is your timeframe for this committee to come to some conclusions and make some recommendations?
We're hoping to do that by this summer. It's either next week or the week after. We've got someone from Chittenden Solid Waste who's going to come down and give us a bit of a presentation. They just went through an annual review of their drop-offs. So we're hoping to hear the advantages and disadvantages of the district run, because there are both. One of the things that would be great about a district run drop-off is it would be at cost. You know, the district's not here to make money, it's a nonprofit. So they wouldn't be making money. It would be, this is what covers our costs. We would never have to worry about, you know, something like that. And you would be in compliance. However, from the district's point of view, we're not sure how does that get charged back, you know, to those towns, and how do you really implement something like this? You know, we could start. One of the things that we've been kicking around is maybe doing almost like a milk run, but going around and pick up the organics from people. The thing that the haulers are resisting. You know, how can we bridge that gap between what's working now and what is going to send a hauler like running to the hills? And they got a grant for these 32-gallon totes that, you know, because of people yelling from other places, the bear-proof, so we have bear-proof 32-gallon totes to give free to the districts to start using. And we picked 32 because anything larger than that is like ridiculously heavy. You know, food scraps are mostly water. So that's something that we might be able to offer, you know, is do we want to like just offer a truck to go around and pick that up? One thing that the district has already worked out is a place for organics. So that's something that was part of the infrastructure that we've been working on. And Foster's Farm, which is right next door to the district in Middlebury, is Agrimart. And so they have been gearing up more and more. They're a compost facility, and they just had a grant and received some equipment so that they can really gear up to do more industrial composting.
So this is the dairy farm, not the soil compost firm? They're kind of separate companies.
It's whoever is making that Moodoo.
Okay, that's not the dairy farm, that's the other one, okay.
Right,
That would
right,
make more
okay.
sense to me, that's
Yeah.
why I was kind of curious,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure physically where they
It
are.
would make perfect sense
but
for
it's
Moodoo
owned by
because
the
it's compostable.
Fosters.
Okay.
And they're recipients for whatever we can bring them. They're glad to take it. And they turn it around, and they've discovered a way of accelerating that process. So, and they're also looking at ways to take the heat off of the piles and actually use it to funnel that heat into the rest of their farms. So they're looking at how they can take more and more from us. We're getting ready to be able to do something with organics, and whatever we can do to help out the municipal drop-offs or trying to bridge that gap, including looking at ways of changing the way the whole district works. Some of the cool, exciting things about having perhaps having a district operate the drop-offs is not only it would be at cost, but can you believe I just blanked out on what I was going to say?
Don't we all?
Yeah, what the? So, anyway, the drop-offs would be, if they wanted to experiment on one place, this might be that place. If it works out for Vergennes, it might want to do a pilot, take on one place.
So it sounds like when your committee has come up with some recommendations, you might want to come back here and share that with us.
Well,
And
yeah.
we can talk, Mel
Yep.
can look at some numbers and we can figure out if there's another option we want to look at or not.
Yeah, we have to definitely figure out what that's going to cost us, what that's going to cost the district. And they were pretty sure, looking at all the numbers, that we could kind of certainly match what is going on, just making sure that that's the right thing for the municipality.
Good.
All of the representatives on the board right now are having a conversation with their select boards to make sure that the select boards know what's coming up for deadlines, not just relying on the trash haulers, but also if there's a way that we can kind of help bring us into the future of this stuff.
Anybody have any questions?
How is it going to be enforced?
What's that?
That's-
Which
that was
part of
gonna be
it?
my question.
The organics piece?
The composting?
It's not going to be enforced any more than recycling is. I think it got stalled at about 30% in the state of Vermont, and that's what prompted Act 148. So if putting this in place and getting the infrastructure there and providing the service for people who want to keep their food scraps out of the trash, this is a way for those people to do it. The couple people or half the people that aren't going to do it, nobody is really going to go through their trash. Periodically, some of the haulers they will look at certain loads down at the transfer station. And if they find that there are mandatory recycling in those loads, they will get fined. But, you know, if somebody puts a pork chop in their garbage because they don't feel like dealing with it, it's really not, no one's going to enforce it. This is really allowing for people who want to do it and maybe can't do the composting. You know, I've been composting for a long time, I've got a backyard, but for those people that are in an apartment building, but they want to I don't want to say do the right thing, but if they want to divert their food scraps from the landfill, then we want to give them a way of doing it. But the trash haulers will be charging for this. Their hands aren't tied with the recycling fees like the recycling fees have been. So
Okay.
they will charge for it. You had something?
Anybody else
Randy?
have any questions?
I thought you had a question.
It
was the same one.
Who's going to enforce it?
Yes, who's gonna
The same
enforce it?
people that are enforcing the recycling right now.
Okay.
And just to remind you of the deadline, it's 2020 for individual households to start getting another avenue for their food scraps.
Okay. Thank you.
This is food for thought.
Yeah,
We
no,
can-
that's good.
we can chat again.
And I look forward to seeing you again, you know, in a few months, so that we can see what's going to happen
Well,
there.
Cheryl, as I had mentioned to you, the city council gave CJ's a vendor's license only through June 30th because the city council wants to know what their plan is as to if they're going to be there accepting trash.
Yep.
And knowing that they have to accept food scraps.
Yep.
The city council needs to know how that's being handled. I mean, it's on West Street, it's near people, that's, you know, so
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, they knew about leaf and yard waste
Right.
too, but
So-
unless somebody really insists on it,
Right.
you know, they may not, you know.
So my little concern was the date that you threw out there of
I think it's
when.
July 1st.
No, I understand the
Oh,
July
not
1st.
that
I'm
date.
saying the date that you suggested or you projected or forecasted that the district would have all of this information together and would
Right.
be able to give some recommendation. And I
Yep.
think you said it would be in summer, okay?
Well, we're trying to match the same deadline, Mel.
Okay, well,
yeah.
let me just tell you that you know, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, I understand
Sure.
that, but I can
I don't
tell
think
you.
anybody's gonna change
I would
that
prefer it
quickly.
to be the 1st of May, all right? So that we know, I mean, because learning about it on June 30th.
Right.
Doesn't help our
do us
budget
any-
at all.
Doesn't do us any good,
Yeah.
you know, so
Right.
the sooner
Gotcha.
that you all can do that, it would be more beneficial to everyone
Yeah.
involved.
Well, it's good to know because with so many things to kind of look at, we just formed this committee.
Yeah,
My second brainchild, the first one was our policy committee, and we updated all the policies of the solid waste board. This one is, we have only met twice, and we have two mandates. One is immediate needs and more overall district, maybe a district goal. Now I remember what I was going to say. Yes.
Your time's almost up, though, so you
I
better hurry up.
know, I know. Trash talk is so fun. With the districts, no, don't tell me I lost it again. With the districts, what did you say? With the districts doing it, anyway, I can't remember. With the districts looking at the potential of running it, it gives a purpose to the committee so that we can focus on that one particular aspect of it. So,
yep.
Good.
I'll remember it later. I'll email Mel.
Email Mel. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Thank you for the answer.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move back to Business 5C, letter to Representative Peter Welch. We shared with you a letter at the last meeting from Representative Welch, wanting to know if the municipality had any needs for infrastructure improvements.
You got it?
And public improvements and so on, and so we asked Mel to kind of look into some of that. We had the capital improvement plan for the Vergennes Partnership for downtown. Vergennes Panton Water District supplied a kind of a wish list. That was about $8.3 million, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody knew about that,
Yeah,
but
you
anyway,
emailed it
just
to
so
Mel
you
and I,
know.
didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I, when I did this, I was doing a little rush. I wrote this letter. Watch out, you okay, Lynn? Okay.
I just, you know.
So anyway,
$8 million.
one of the things at the last meeting, I had talked to Jeff and saying, listen, the Vergennes Panton Water District, they're a municipal corporation, we should let them know, and so Jeff's on the board. I actually went down and talked to John as well, and I can tell you that originally I was thinking that the water district could write to Congressman Welch themselves, all right? But the more I got to thinking about it, I think that it's okay to have to, in this instance, the congressman reached out to the mayor, and I think that in this instance, I think it's okay for us to talk about the water district.
Well, this is so
okay?
generic and
Yeah.
preliminary, it doesn't.
So instead of, I think, Jeff, if the water district wanted to write its own letter, they could write its own letter, but I've written this in such a way that it's rolled in. I made it clear that it is a separate municipality, but because I really think that, what I think, this is obviously not a grant application. This is really about the congressman trying to figure out, what is there a need, which is a no-brainer, we know that, but to what extent, all right? And so that's what I was trying to do here. And so it would include 2 attachments. One being what John or you had forwarded to me. This I should have brought it to you. Really, it's really a nice. It's a 5-year plan. It's divided into distribution system projects and plant projects. All right. And it speaks about various lines that need to be done. It isn't just McDonough Drive, there's a number of lines, and John has, it says from South Slang to such and such, 8-inch line needs replaced, 1.6 million.
It's really detailed,
It's 1 page and it's nice. So, that would go there. The downtown, the thing that you saw at the last meeting, we would clean that up a little bit. And Randy, you said we want to chop off the top of that. We would clean it up just a little bit. Like I say, I don't think that we need to knock ourselves out here, but we need to let the congressman know that, we got a list here. So
what I'm gonna just do some corrections, make a few edits to this. We've got your submission, we'll get a submission from you, and,
He already has it. Did you just?
the heading was gonna be taken off or something, I thought, but we'll deal with that.
Okay.
And just ship it off, and keep in touch with Congressman Welch, and, he comes to Vergennes on a regular basis, and, we'll talk to him about it on Memorial Day, and it's all good. Rennie, yeah?
Yeah, the only thing that
okay, take care.
would have been nice, but I guess we're not far enough along to have this, is that, with some of the things that we're having to do with stormwater and sewers and that sort of thing, because I think in his letter, he was really asking for the big projects. I don't think he was looking for little things. I mean, it's like replacing the bridge that goes across the Otter Creek or something like that. I think that's what he really was looking for. But unfortunately, we don't have cost estimates on doing those things, because that would have been nice to
Well, I think we
include.
can certainly talk about, the issue with combined sewer overflows, the pump station and the problems with that. I mean, the capacity of the plant's not bad. I'm not sure about the workings of the plant, but I think we can give him something, and if we need to go back into more detail, there's plenty of time for that. But that's something Rick might be a part of, and ask him can he put a list together, if not for right now, but for the future.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they were looking for solid numbers, so if we want to say kind of bridge is X years old, and it might need to be retrofitted or changed, that's food for thought, we don't have to say, and it's gonna cost this done by so-and-so on such and such time.
But that is on the long-term bridge plan
Right,
in Addison County too, so at least it's
But
already
you
on
could
a,
always-
it's on a schedule.
tweak it up on them.
Yeah.
Just like, well, this is coming up too, just as like everything else.
Okay. 5D, annual city warning of annual city meeting, copy of it here, it's 2 pages. And we have an original here that will require our signatures as long as no one has any questions or comments or corrections on it.
If you do find them, we would appreciate if you only find them on the first page.
Right, so the signature page is okay.
Are all the appropriations automatic, or have we been reached out by these places saying to put this on?
Okay, so Lynn asked me that question before you showed up. Okay, so here's the process. This is the policy of the city council as I understand it. That anybody that petitioned, if you will, years ago for a certain amount of money, and they have been approved by voters for that same amount of money, for that same organization for at least 3 consecutive years, they simply notify Joan or Melissa in writing, I think, to request that they be put on the warning for the same amount of money. If anybody has not been approved for 3 consecutive years, or they want to increase their appropriation, they must file the signatures, Yeah, so if they wanted to go from 2,000 to 3,000, they got to file a petition, and they would have to do that for 3 consecutive years and receive voter approval for those 3 consecutive years, so that on the 4th year, they would not have to go out and solicit do petitions, okay? So, Joan, I just know the rules, I don't handle any of this, but.
They're all at the point now where they just have to send us a letter of request.
That's what I mean, is they've all said.
Yeah.
remember,
How old is that
not just
policy? Do you have
automatic.
any idea? I remember discussing it. I don't know if I was on the board or it's older than
We've had it
that.
forever.
That's what I
I'd say
wondered.
at least 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was less than that with the automatic, but I could be wrong.
No, I would say it's been automatic for 20 years.
Okay.
Before that, they used to have to petition every year, and they
Right.
were saying how much hardship it was, and to go through this every year, and every town is different. Every town has their own policy on how to get articles on their warning, and so that is ours.
So I think that the city council ought to, at some point, not necessarily next meeting, but certainly, I'm gonna say, by, I'm trying to think, what you don't wanna be doing is talking about this today and changing the rules, all
Right,
right?
right.
So I think that really, if you were to say that, before June 30th, the board revisits this policy, and so that way, if you want to have some change, like for instance, if let's say a majority of the city council says, nope, anybody that wants to be on the ballot, they got to supply the petitions. If that was your policy, we would Joan and Melissa would send a notice out to all of the entities, tell them that the rules have changed. So you should see this policy, so we'll just get it to you and get it on the agenda and that way, because I don't think the policy, I don't know what the policy says. I don't know if it says forever, or whether or not, is it for a 1-year policy, is it until changed, or whatever, so you should take a look at it, so.
All right, well, we can
Yeah,
put
we'll look at
that
it.
on, okay.
I don't necessarily have a problem with policy, I just wanted to know if it's
How
just
it works.
automatic, or whether
Yeah.
they have to make any kind of, yes,
Right.
we're in this again, because I know I heard a lot of grumbling after last year's meeting when almost none of these people were at town meeting day, and said, so I think, those of you watching on TV, you should show up, because there's gonna be some no votes, I think, this time, because there was a lot of, we're giving you this money, you should at least come and say, this is who we are, and
Yeah,
this is
the
what we do.
representation used to be a lot better than it
Yeah.
has been recently.
I think we had
So-
1 or 2 last year.
So I will tell you, and Lynn has to hear this a second time, what we do, I'm just gonna walk you through the next steps as to how this works. You adopt this warning, it goes in front of the voters, and let's say that all of them get approved. What I end up doing is writing a contract that covers the period from July 1 of 2017 to June 30th of 2018. Prepare that contract, sign that contract, send it out the agency returns it. What that agency is required to do within a certain number of months, and I don't have it memorized, after June 30th, 2018, submit a report that at a minimum states the number of Vergennes residents that they served, all right? And once they supply that report acts like an invoice, and we process a warrant to pay that bill, okay? So if you kind of think about what I just explained to you, here we are in January of 2017, and I'm talking about a contract and a check that's going to get written late in 2018. If you kind of go back in time, checks that we are writing right now are for services provided from June 30th of 2015 from July 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2016 that were approved by voters in March of 2015. Okay?
Again, I'm not questioning where the money's going. I'm just saying from a purely PR standpoint, these people should come to town meeting and say, hi. That's all.
Right, they should.
I mean, I think it's kind of ironic that you're kind of making them say how many people they're serving, and you're paying them 18 months after they get approval. But, that's why we'll look at the policy again. Rennie?
And that whole thing came about, my recollection is, as a result of a Supreme Court decision, a suit against the city because of one of the agencies and how the process was done. And it went to the Supreme Court, and that's how this whole thing developed in order to do it.
So, let's go back to the annual city warning, and it reads well to me, I think. So, we need a motion to present this or approve this as a city council, as the warning.
Make the motion to adopt the annual city warning.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second by Lowell. And if there's no further discussion, all in favor of this as the city warning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? So I will pass it around, and please sign it, and then we'll give it to Joan. Okay, now, city manager's report, 6A. Mel, you're up.
So budget report, I spoke a little bit earlier about attorney's fees, so I won't, that's all I'll talk about that for now. I really don't have anything new to report. Obviously, a day like today, this is a $6,000 day out there of ice, just so you know. So you're going to see salt bills come in as a result of that. But, the public works budget, it looks good. We seem to be fine. Overtime's fine. We're not seeing truck repair bills. We got a good fleet there of vehicles. So at this point, I'm still feeling pretty good, but as I mentioned at the last meeting, what I'm not seeing is some obvious forecasted big surplus here. So the numbers are that we finished the fiscal year with a $180,000 fund balance. We used $100,000 of that to keep the tax rate down. So we've got an $80,000 cushion, and it would be just great to be able to add something to that cushion, but not at the expense of not doing paving and not doing sidewalks. And we want to do the things that we've budgeted to do. So I feel like the budget's in good shape, but I'm not sitting here telling you that, look at this windfall of revenue and look at how much money we saved over here. I'm not seeing that, but we're still only 7 months into the year, and I don't know if I feel good or bad about that, but anyway.
And actually, one thing that's interesting is that I was in contact with Vermont Gas Systems in the last month about the tax assessment of gas lines for the municipality. And the statute reads that none of that is taxable until the entire system is up and running as of December 31st. So it would behoove us to have them finished by December 31st of 2017, so we can get them on the grand list
Sure.
for 2018.
So, just so you know, the agreement has not been signed yet, but there is a Vermont Gas Board meeting. I think, I got an email from Karen today. What they were lacking for us was a corporate resolution, and so they have a board meeting, I'm gonna say next Tuesday or whatever it is. So insurances, I have all the certificates of insurance, I have the performance bond. You know, this thing keeps dragging on, and every time that you have a long agreement like this, the lawyers read it one more time, and they find 2 more paragraphs to send down, and that's what I got in today's email. So I sent that to Wilmette saying, are you okay with these 2 changes? So I really hope that we get this thing finally signed next week. There certainly was a time the lag was me and Wilmette. It hasn't been me and Wilmette for months, okay? So we're all set, and it should pave the way for them to start this project, and they've told us that it would be completed in 2017.
Of course, they've been saying a lot of things
Yeah,
over the
and
last
I-
5
you know,
years, but.
You know, I'm
let's
not
hope.
familiar with that statute, but I would hope that if gas is coming out of that pipe, it ought to be taxable. So but anyway, I'd have to, if they're selling gas.
I'll email you. tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so anyway, we're, should be set in that regard.
Okay. Encore.
Encore, we'll see a numbers here, just to refresh everybody's memory. This is, we signed an agreement with Encore Vergennes back in 2013, and so this solar array, which went online on December 31st, 2013, so this completes the 3rd year of service for that facility. They did do a lot of tree cutting last year. We aren't, when I say we aren't close, all right, so there's 180,000 kilowatts there. The 150 kilowatt facility was supposed to generate 200,000 kilowatts, and I think the first year was 176,000, the next year was 173,000, and this year was 180,000, okay? So we are not seeing the generation that was originally forecasted. And of course, when you don't see the generation equal to what was forecasted, then the city's compensation is cut a little bit. So we were supposed to originally save about $4,100 a year, and we don't quite see that. But anyway, we saved nearly $4,000. So the first year in 2014, we used to cut checks to Encore every month for $3,100. And then when we went through the reconciliation, we overpaid them, and they cut us a check for about $3,000 because there wasn't that much generation. The next year, I think we paid them $2,800, let's say, a month, and at the end of the year, they owed us money again, all right? So the monthly payment that we pay them went down again, and we paid them $2,555, I think it was, a month through 2016, but they generated more kilowatts, and so that's why in the warrant, there is a reconciliation where we have to pay them we have to make sure that we get 10% of the generation, they get 90% of the generation, and so there is this reconciliation that has to occur. So that check is in the warrant to pay them for 2016, and then down below, I think there's something that speaks about the reset, and so the reset goes to 2,860 some odd.
So that's
whatever.
gonna just, go back and forth. a
It'll
little
get, yeah,
bit,
it'll go
but
back
it's-
and forth,
as long as
depending
it's
on.
within
Yeah.
a reasonable percentage of
Yeah.
the total, okay.
Yeah, the sun will move the numbers a little bit, shade, whatever. Also, I can tell you that it was thought that the wholesale value of power was gonna go up, and it hasn't gone up. And so we're not receiving, we're receiving 14.84 cents per kilowatt, and I think that it was thought that that number was gonna go to 15, gonna go to 16, which on the one hand, that's good news, we get more money.
It costs more too.
But it costs more money for the lights that we're enjoying in here. So anyway, That's that. I will tell you, just, because I may not be working for the city for 3 more years, or 4 more years, everybody remember here, those of you that are left, we have a purchase option on this solar farm, okay?
Can't wait.
Huh?
I can't wait.
Can't wait for me to leave?
I can't wait to buy.
Can't wait what?
Goodbye.
It'll be
Well, I'm
antiquated
just,
by then.
Yeah, of
I'm
course
just
it will
telling
be.
you that, really, we have an option in our agreement with them to, I don't know exactly how it reads. All I can tell you is that there is a provision in there where the city can buy that facility, and if you're wondering like, well, what's going on here? And what is going on is that solar generation facilities have an accelerated depreciation schedule in the eyes of the IRS, and so you can depreciate a solar facility over a 6-year period. So like if you think about it, I was going through this math, I think with you, Joan, yesterday.
Aren't you lucky, John?
Well, anyway, so basically, let's say if you have a facility that costs $240,000, all right, and so you can depreciate that over a 6-year period, so you're able to depreciate $60,000 a year. Hold that thought. So we generate 180,000 kilowatts, and you go through and you do this math, and if you look at how much money Encore received from us, okay, they received $2,555 times 12 plus a check for $3,700, all right? And so the revenue side is, 30, whatever that number is, $36,000, okay? So $36,000 revenue, it's a $240,000 divided by 6 is $40,000.
They can write off 17% of it every year,
No, but it's
over 6 years.
No, but 240,000 divided by 6 years,
Right.
it is $40,000, okay? So they received $38,000 in cash, get to write off $40,000, okay? And so therefore, there is no,
No tax?
there's no tax, okay? As a matter of fact, they have a loss that they can push over onto somebody else. When you get to year 7, you can't, you're done. You've fully depreciated it, all right? And so now you're having to pay tax on that, and I don't want to say that they would just fire sale the thing, but I can tell you, it makes a hell of a lot more sense when you're not paying any tax on $40,000 compared to, and if you think about, God, they laid out $240,000 and they
So do
collected
you guys
all that.
remember this? Because you'll be
So-
going to left on this board
Okay,
when that
so
happens.
anyway,
So-
I can, I really think that it is something that we should be thinking about, because I think they're gonna be motivated to sell. And if you think about it, if we owned it, we would get 100% of the revenue stream, all right? And,
Okay. Number C.
number C. Oh, City Hall Conference Room.
Yep.
Just so you know, the City Hall Conference Room project has started. And basically, if you come to City Hall and you look in the window, it'll look very different
pretty
from you.
much
Like
gutted.
the panels are off and sheetrock is off, and I don't want to say that it's taking shape, but you can see that it's project. One of the things that we found is that there was wainscoting, the wall that is adjacent to the partnership, the old wainscoting is there, the rail is gone, the finish that is like in most of the partnership is there. We don't think that it can be saved, but it's like, look at that wainscoting. So I think that, we might be able to use some of that wainscoting. I don't think it'll go quickly to the trash, so it's interesting. So if you
And I
want to
think
look.
so far, Mike's been the one that's done most of the demo work.
Right.
So thank you.
And so he's, Mike's been doing it. He said I couldn't say anything, but anyway, I will tell you that he's been working around live electricity. But he
Jesus,
knows what he's
don't do
doing.
that.
He knows what he's doing. Don't worry about it. And Andy Como, I talked to him on the phone yesterday. He's going to be coming in so that, because Mike he can only get to a certain point, can't do any more without, you need the light, okay? But at some point, you need to not get shocked, okay? So not get hurt. So anyway, that's happening. So.
You guys have computer wiring.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a maze with some of the things we can't figure out. So anyway, we're moving along with this, and the desire really is to get this room to look like the partnership room, really. That's really what we want to do, because that room really turned out nice.
Does that have hardwood floors too, or not?
Yeah, it's a different wood. It appears that it's not the same wood, but the goal will be to have Ramon come in and do it, try to do it, yeah.
Hey, was that other stuff in partnership, was that fir?
Looks like fir, I think,
I
yeah.
can't recall what it
Yeah.
was.
I think
Yeah.
it's fir, and I think.
Nice
This is maple,
Station is
is maple, yeah. So,
More durable.
yeah, so, that's the desire, yeah.
Good, okay.
I'd actually like to get a quote from Rodney Olson on that.
Yeah, I know Rodney, yeah.
So, that way we can find out if you're getting a good price.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's C.
And, yeah, D.
I don't want to talk, this D is under city manager report, and it really should be Rennie's report, because this is really a Vergennes partnership effort. It's not mine. I mean, I went to the meetings, and I've been spending a lot of time with Megan and Amy, but this is a partnership.
Megan was gonna be here tonight, and
Yeah.
the weather was, not good enough, so she'll be on an agenda in the next one or two meetings.
So I think that I would just soon defer and let you talk about this, because you're the one that got this
Yeah,
done,
very-
so.
Very quickly. Energy Vermont wanted to have communities that go into a pilot program, and we applied for Vergennes to be a pilot program, and there are 6 communities in Vermont. We're one of them for this pilot program. And it's a 6-month program, and they will come in and make a concentrated effort with Efficiency Vermont for both businesses and residences, including having actual office hours in the city where people can just stop in and so on. They will have energy audits, which if they do it through this program, the energy audit is free, as opposed to if you were just going through with an energy audit, you would, Efficiency Vermont would help you find a company, but you would have to pay for it. So the energy audits for all the buildings that they are involved in would be free. And they are doing a lot of promotion for their office hours and when they're going to be available and the types of services that are available and the money that's available. And so that's basically what the program is. And then after the 6 municipalities have completed the pilot, then they'll decide whether they're going to try and make this a permanent program for other municipalities throughout the state. So that's,
It's a great opportunity
yeah.
for a lot of folks. Yeah.
So even though the program, it does, I'll just, I gave everybody a pamphlet, and it says a little bit about the Vergennes partnership. What the partnership responded to, and more specifically Rennie, Efficiency Vermont is publishing this request of interest for a pilot of the downtown efficiency program to be completed and presented to Efficiency Vermont in an effort to increase energy efficiency in designated downtown areas. Energy efficiency has been partnered up. The point I'm getting at is that even though this program, you need to have a downtown development district, it's not to say that only downtown properties benefit. The entire city of Vergennes is involved here. So, businesses and residences, it basically, it's like having Efficiency Vermont assigned to the city of Vergennes for 6 months, all right? And, the cities has received a lot of benefits from Efficiency Vermont, over the past years, and that's because we know about it. We know that if you're gonna replace some lights, we know that there's $150 out there or $1,000. We do that type of things. But there's still businesses and homeowners out there that really don't know about that program, and they're paying for it. If you look at your Green Mountain Power bill, you're paying for Efficiency Vermont every month, all right? And so it's really an opportunity for everyone to learn about their services and take advantage of some of their programs. So, and Megan Chambers, she's really you know, has a really nice personality. She'll be coming here, we think, on the 28th, but we've set her up with the Lions Club, the Rotary Club. Stephanie Taylor from the high school was at our meeting, and so there's a tremendous amount of outreach. There may at some point, you may have a doorknob hanger. Those are going to be done throughout the city. So they conducted, as you saw in your note, they were at 3 Squares this morning and at the Antidote this afternoon. And Hired Hand this afternoon. And they conducted 3 commercial business site visits this afternoon, and they have 5 scheduled for tomorrow. I mean, they are, you know, rocking and rolling, so.
Great.
And just very quickly, the city itself has actually gotten a lot from Efficiency Vermont, a lot of money. The biggest one, although it's not directly to us, but when all of the street lights were changed over to LEDs, Green Mountain Power did it, but Efficiency Vermont paid $20,000 towards that changeover. And even something like our traffic signals, the traffic signals that we have, those are LEDs that they pay for. When we changed over from regular bulbs to those LEDs in the traffic signals. So, and there's a whole list of other things that we've done over time. So it really does bring in some money for the city.
Good. I have one thing. A few months ago, I was contacted by the General George Stannard House Restoration Group. He's like Vermont's most famous general in the Civil War. And they're trying to restore his homestead, which is on Route 7 in Milton. And this group, actually, as part of this, was reaching out to other communities. And what they ended up coming up with, and they worked with Howard Coffin, the Vermont historian, who's an amazing expert on the Civil War. He's written about 6 books on it, is a proposed Vermont in the Civil War Heritage Trail, which is essentially going to run from Bennington up through Highgate. And any community that is located on this trail is welcome to join it, and it's supposed to be a group effort where people can online or via, iPhones, and there'll be pamphlets and so on, can follow this trail and go to various sites that have some connection to the Civil War and so on. And so we had this meeting on last Saturday at Rokeby Museum, and there were probably 25 or 30 people there, and it was fascinating. And so once I found out about this, I wanted to know what was Vergennes' connection to the Civil War, because I didn't know we had a lot. And our connection is really with abolitionist John Brown. He lived in North Elba, New York, and Vergennes was the closest trading center for him. It was probably half a day by, wagon or whatever. So twice every year, he would come to Vergennes with his 20 kids. And they would do their trading here and then go back to North Elba. Then, of course, he became an abolitionist and was caught at Harper's Ferry and was executed. And after he died, his wife accompanied his body by train up to Vergennes. And apparently on the route back, the biggest reception his body received was in Manhattan. But the second biggest was in Vergennes. And his body was in state here for a day at the Stevens house. And then it went from Vergennes to Panton and took a ferry boat over to Westport, and then they took him up to North Alba and they buried him. But apparently there were tons of people were involved in that. And it's, and this Howard Coffin just said there's amazing stories about it. So anyway, they asked if Vergennes would be willing to be a member of this, and what we want to do is get together some kind of a plaque or something somewhere. Might be something the partnership could help work with. But the best thing is we'd be part of this trail. It would bring people into the community. Hopefully they would come here, enjoy the community shop, spend money, so on and so forth. There's really no expense in joining it other than just raising the money to create this memorial or this placard or whatever. So anyway, we're going to probably meet again once, but I think that they'd like to get this going, and I'll just keep you up to date. But I think it makes sense. It's just another, feather in our cap for history and marketing.
There's a stone down on Honor Bay Road This says John Brown's.
Really?
Yes.
I
it's
didn't
on,
know that.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
on Arnold Bay Road, just up from, well, if you go down, if you're coming off Lake Street or Pease Road and go up there, it's probably not even a half a mile.
Let's go look at
It's
it.
on, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
stone there.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to talk about? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Randy, all in favor? Thank you, good night.